Some groups and individuals in Southeast have expressed concern about this bill. Has Sealaska met with these groups?
Yes, and we intend to continue that process. I know that I'm stating the obvious when I say that particularly in the Tongass National Forest, but also on all public lands in Alaska, but especially in the Tongass National Forest, every acre is precious to someone. And that's a fundamental reality that we have to deal with, and we recognize that significant dialogue, continuing conversation, hopefully working together will get us where we need to get.
What about the benefits to Sealaska and the shareholders as a result of this timber development?
Well, certainly timber development thus far has been significant over essentially 2 generations of our peoples in bringing about economic opportunity. Sealaska itself, for example, has, through its Sealaska Heritage Institute, expended millions in scholarships. We funded a full range of cultural and tribal and other kinds of development, as I mentioned earlier. 70% of the profits from the timber resource development within our region have gone to other regions. We expect to continue to harvest timber, but in this bill, Mr. Chairman and Congressman Young, we seek to select out of withdrawals. As I said, no one has spent much time looking at what Sealaska leaves essentially on the table in our existing withdrawal areas. Intact watersheds, roadless areas, significant stands of old-growth forest, where some 55%, if I recall correctly, of the lands that we seek out of our withdrawal areas are already eroded, have already been harvested, and Sealaska is willing to postpone for decades harvesting that timber in order to hopefully over time develop a transition to a different kind of timber industry that is more responsive to a broad range of public policy interests.
That's why you're giving up the opportunity, the old growth, to select the pre-cut areas that are eroded and calvert if they even have been put to bed, because in the long term that'll be better, more beneficial than going into the old growth timber.
Well, in terms of the public interest, yes, and in terms of our own sensitivities and aspirations as a people, we already on our forested lands have placed almost a third in protected categories on our own lands.
Okay, but Byron, what I'm getting across is that, again, the land, and I won't have time to ask everybody questions, but what I can't understand, for instance, Buck objects to this, but this land has already been cut. Is that correct?
Yes.
I don't understand that, because I've also heard people say from SEAC, we have to protect the old growth timber. We can't invade the old growth timber. We got to protect their watersheds. And yet you are doing that with this with this bill. You're selecting those lands already been violated, if you want to call it, for future investment for Sealaska.
Yes, sir. I don't understand Buck either, and I look forward to the opportunity to educate him.
Good. Well, I've fought this battle for a long time, and just to give you some example, because of the activity of SEAC, we have Angoon with an unemployment rate of 87%, Hoona 70%, and that's SEAC's responsibility. Heidelberg 90%, Cake 75%, Kasan 49%, Klawak 59%, Klakwan 88%, Saxman 71%, Yakutat 49%, even Ketchikan now 23% unemployment rate. And I remember when everybody was employed in Ketchikan. I was told by SEAC at that time, don't worry, we're going to work with the timber industry, we'll make it work. That was many, many years ago, and still I see they're opposed to even the new timber. But last question I have for you, Byron, about these cultural sites. Why the administration came out against you picking cultural sites? Now, it's your culture, correct?
Yes, sir.
And why would they think that they could protect it better? And you've already recited that there's been defamation of it, and some of them have been used for probably capital gains for the service. Why shouldn't you have that?
Well, we believe that we should, and as I emphasized earlier, we had for a long time no particular opposition to federal management of sacred sites. As a matter of fact, we tried to keep knowledge of sacred sites as much a secret as possible, which has led to some concerns and even questioning our management practices. But what has happened is that more and more those sites are becoming public knowledge, and we are concerned about their future safety, their future maintenance as such sites, and we believe that we have the ability to manage those sites as native sites with much more knowledge and obviously tradition, history than any federal agency.
Do you have any plans to develop economic endeavors on these cultural sites, sacred sites?
No, sir.
Right. Did any of the national parks units exist prior to your people's historic, traditional, and cultural connection to the sites within the units? There was no national parks, were there?
These sites have been in existence for many, many generations in the past, some for thousands of years. I know of no specific site that would have been identified and utilized after any federal classification was made in the Tongass National Forest.
Chris, you're the president of Sealaska?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
You said you guess or yes I am?
No, I said yes, I am.
Oh, okay. Economically, how many acres are we talking about?
We're talking about as much as 85,000 acres. In that
85, and that's
yes.
land that you have a right to select.
That's right. And what we would be relinquishing and releasing is 277,000 acres.
And I want to state that for the record. You would select 85, you'd relinquish how much of
277,000.
And that's in old growth timber.
That's old growth timber.
And that's the valuable timber according to SEAC.
Yes.
So you're giving up 85, are you giving up about twice as much land for what you're getting?
Yes, that's correct.
That's a good deal.
We believe that it is in the national interest to be able to do that, yes.
That's in Sealaska's interest.
Yes.
You don't invade any of those sacred, I'm not sacred, those great trees that are dying, and you don't invade the rainforest and all the other good stuff that SEAC's protected all this time. You don't do that. You give up 285,000 acres.
Yes.
In old growth.
We believe on a net basis that's so. Yes, that's correct.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think this is a better deal than we had in Eisenbach Road. I mean, I think it's a bad deal for SEAC. If I was Sealaska, I'd go into the old growth. You know, and that's for you, Buck, and for you, Don. I'd go into the old growth. You've been trying to protect everything and knocked there is no timber industry left in Southeast. The new timber is going to be growing that they're trying to pick will probably develop another source of economy in the Southeast because of the different timbers. Not a pulp timber. It'll be a saw timber. And it can be managed. I'm trying to talk to the Forest Service, and they're doing this right now. And leasing those other areas, are granting long-term leases on the rest of it. But they have a right, as the original inhabitants of that area, to pick those lands and fulfill that obligation. And it's good this thing I'm not one of you down here, because I think I would go in the old forest with a chainsaw and a heartbeat. Because what you're doing is wrong. What they're doing is right. It's good for the area, it's good for the community, give you some credibility, and I suggest respectfully continue to meet with them. We can find a solution to this problem. Mr. Chairman, you have any questions?
I have no questions, Don. Just Buck's name has been batted